we're discussing the new September 20th ban list. That's right. Actually, this is September 17th. This is going to be effective from September 17th, and we actually kind of have a date as to when we should be expecting the next one. It should be November 20th, which is over 2 months. So maybe we'll see something. Maybe the reason why they're doing a ban list 2 months in advance this time is probably because of the fact that the game is radically changing all the time. We're about to get 3 structure decks, and we're also about to get 2 sets. So I would keep that in mind going forward when buying cards. So let's just go into the ban list, because I have some interesting theories. I've already looked over the ban list, and I've already generated my own thoughts and opinions about this ban list. And overall, I think it's a very good ban list. But let's just jump right into it. So the first thing that we got here is Samsara Lotus. I guess this is fine if this is an FTK enabler, like people are trying to tell me. I can see why I read the card. It immediately gives you some pretty easy link summons. It just summons itself, but you take 1,000 damage if it stays on your field, which really doesn't matter. The card is just overall fantastic for that. It seems like it would naturally facilitate FTKs. What's really interesting is that they didn't eliminate Cannon Soldier MK2, or Amazon's Archer. I guess because we don't have, of another card they hit on this list, they probably won't hit those cards for some reason, but I disagree with the hit entirely. Nightmare Goblin, I agree with, actually, 100%. I still think to this day, in my opinion, that Seraphonite should still be banned on the ban list, because facilitating easy normal summons, like Nightmare Goblin did and like Seraphonite does, are really, really bad for the game. And Nightmare Goblin is easier to summon than Seraphonite. So I definitely agree with this at 100%. You're not gonna find me. And plus the second effect, where it makes it immune to stuff, is kind of it's kind of good. And MX Saber Invoker, these are the only realistically 2 hits to Gokis. Gokis is still technically a deck, but these 2 cards kind of stop that deck from popping off as often. The deck, I think, will still be around. It just won't be as powerful, and it makes room for other decks to come in the future. For example, everyone's going to be excited about another card on this list, as well as and people are definitely going to be playing that deck, and other decks also in Soul Fusion might actually break the mold as well, such as Thunder Dragons, and maybe even like some of the other lower tier decks like Prank Kids or something like that. Maybe some of the zombie support will also get in there, so we'll get into that later. So that's the only 3 ban cards. So just look over, we got Samsara Lotus, Nightmare Goblin, and MX Saber Invoker. Really good hits overall. Again, I dislike the cards that randomly facilitates FTKs. Nightmare Goblin is obviously good, and MX Saber Invoker is incredible. I wasn't really expecting MX Saber Invoker, to be perfectly honest, though. So next we're going to move on to the limited cards. ASL Core, rest in peace, ABCs. You guys literally did nothing, and you still got hit. If anything, if this deck was going to be super powerful and overtake the meta, like people were maybe speculating, that perhaps Assault Core might not be the right hit, but I guess I could see why. But I would still probably just hit Union Hanger and just left it at that. But I mean, realistically, the deck is pretty much dead with just this hit. It doesn't matter if you could search it. It doesn't matter if you can revive it as many times as you would like. It really sucks having only 1 piece and 3 of the other pieces. So, and also Terraforming is at 2. Spoiler alert: Terraforming is at semi-limited status, which I agree with, but I think the deck is not going to be playable at all. Like, the deck just peaks and top cuts every once in a while, but I mean, it really didn't do anything other than that. So I really disagree with this hit overall. We got Startos. Startos is back, so that's cool. We're gonna move on. Not really worth talking about, honestly, because of the fact that it's not really powerful enough anymore. It's a good card, don't get me wrong, and you're gonna be playing it in Heroes. And we lost actually 2 kind of bad cards for it, but I mean, it's fine. The card is really, really strong. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's just a simple card. It's very easy to play. So, and the next card that we have here is Morphing Jar. The Konami here in the TCG actually has a plan on breaking, I guess, quote unquote, Danger Dark Worlds. Even though I don't think it might be the best deck, Danger Dark Worlds is looking like a very good contender. We still have Crusadia, which just FTKs the crap out of that deck. So, but I think it will be the second best tier deck, maybe if not the third best tier deck, because Crusadia will definitely take over, and it will be really, really strong. Morphing Jar is going to be a card in that deck. Otherwise, Morphing Jar is relatively, I believe, fair. Not really fair. It's just fine. It's not going to do anything. Like if you're playing this against Burning Abyss just it's just going to laugh at you. Because you flip Morphing Jar on them, and they're just gonna get like a 5 or 6 effects. So, yeah, play yourself. Heavy Manifest Electromite. This is actually kind of like the ASL core effect, in my opinion, but I think it's actually a little bit more justified. I think if they did hit Gokeys and Trickstars like the way they did, Pendulums could theoretically make a comeback and rise from the ashes, and I guess in order to stop that from happening, or at least to make it not as powerful, they decided to hit Electromite, which I guess is fair. The Electromite is a facilitator for those Pendulum decks, and it's really good. It's a really good card. I'm not going to deny it. But it kind of sucks that people just spent all their money on Megatons, and they're like, hey, we're just going to limit this card, okay? But I guess overall, if they didn't put it in the Megatons and they just banned it or limited it, I'm like, all right, that's fair. Notice that Firewall is a man, so it sucks. We still got those stupid loops. Cypher Lord Omega. Personally, I'm sad because I like Cypherms at all. Or I like Cypherms in general. And you need to play 3 copies of that card in that deck. But I guess I can understand why. Zombies are really good, and it's a really good combo piece in other decks as well. So yeah. Evil Storm Exciton Knight. I really just wanted to make this discussion about Exciton Knight coming back because it is actually quite interesting. But we'll go over that later when we talk about it. Exciton Knight is pretty good. It's a quick play spell. It's basically a quick play Dark Hole that summons a 1900 body on the board afterwards, so it's pretty good. A Hero Lives. Like I said, this is the 2 bad cards you kind of lost for Startos, which I think is a fair exchange because Startos is super good, but A Hero Lives is really conditionally good, and paying half your life points for a summon is not very good because your opponent's just going to kill you out right off the back. So I guess this is fine. You still have Shadow Mist, which is arguably better, and you still have Violent even if they did hit Shadow Mist. So yeah. Card Destruction. This is a legit mistake. I foresee this going back on the ban list like literally November 20th. As soon as that ban list comes out, this card is going to be back on the ban list. The reason for that is because, one, it facilitates way too much discard shenanigan combos like deck milling. We still don't have Morphing Jar 2, so maybe that's the reason why they didn't give us Morphing Jar 2, so we don't have those kinds of degenerate FTKs. And 2, Burning Abyss, Dark World, and theoretically Lightsworns are kind of a really good card because of a really good deck because the Dark Card Destruction just dumps cards for you. And sure, it doesn't send them to the graveyard, and like if you open a hand of wolves, you won't be able to get those, but arguably it's still one of the best cards. And I think even if you're not playing a deck that aims to take advantage of being discarded, you might play this card regardless because of the fact that if you open up with a brick hand, you could just discard your entire hand and draw 4 new cards. That's kind of nuts. And we have a Hornet Drone. This I absolutely agree with. Having generic token support like this, and it's searchable, and it's a quick play spell, and you can recycle it very easily, does not bode well for this card. It is super broken, in my opinion. Polymerization. It's quite interesting to see super polymerization. Sucks that we didn't get Construct back, because if we did, I would be like, yo, Shadal's tier 1 deck, kind of. But it's not that. We don't live in that reality. Plus, I think overall, super polymerization only really works in 2 decks. It's Heroes and Shadals. Otherwise, I think it's totally fine. I guess in Thunder Dragons, it might be a little scary, but I really don't think that's a problem. To be perfectly honest, I think if you see this card one time, it's fine. We got Cosmo the Dark Destroyer. This card wasn't doing anything on the ban list. Cosmos get a little bit more power. This card probably could go to 3. It probably wouldn't do anything, so it's fine. Call by the Grave. Now, this is interesting. Now, theoretically, we've always had the speculation that Konami hates cards that you play absolutely that every single person plays at 3. Where they just don't like it. For some reason, and I guess I can understand why. If you're not playing anything else and you're not playing anything in the new sets, it kind of seems like it would be a problem, right? Call by the Grave is just such a powerful card in the fact that it stops hand traps, but I honestly don't think that it is that broken. Realistically, it's kind of like a slightly better DD Crow, and DD Crow is not seeing play. And the only reason why this card is seeing play is because it negates hand traps. And I think if you eliminate some of the better ones like Droll or Ash, you'll see less and less of this card. And Droll is a problem in and of itself anyway, and Ash is kind of just one of those cards that might get hit here and there, and then just be fair. So, Call by the Grave, kind of interesting. I kind of want to see where they go with this. Maybe they put it back on the, maybe they put it back to 3. Maybe they limit it. Maybe it becomes that big of a problem, but we'll see. Limiter removal. Praise be to our Cyber Dragon Overlords. Limited removal at 2 kind of is really scary. I do not want to face down a 16,000, or actually not 16,000. It'll be like 28 or 32,000 attacker Cyber End Dragon again. That's kind of freaky. I'm just honestly though, this card is not as good as people are claiming it to be. I kind of was advocating for this card going to 2 or 3 a long time ago. But I guess they can, since in the near future we can speculate that they don't plan on releasing any broken machine type support. So limited removal probably is fine. Scapegoat should be at 1, but you know what? I guess they're testing the waters at 2. That's fine. Scapegoat is a massive problem. This is technically another hit towards Trickstars, so it's fine. Terraforming again should be at 1 because Konami statistically hates cards that draw that everyone plays at 3 in their deck and nothing else, and Terraforming is one of those cards. This card is technically better than Upstart because it can sometimes draw you 2 or even 3 cards depending on the deck that you're playing, and overall I think generally a field spell is better than just 1 card, because if you're drawing a random card you don't know if that card's going to be good, but in Terraforming's case you absolutely know if that card's going to be good. So that's my stance on Terraforming. It should be at 1, but I can see why this card they're just testing the waters at 2. So, and the cards at 3. There's only 1 card that technically really matters, and it might not even really matter that much. But Apocalypse Towers, that card doesn't matter. We still don't have Cleafort. We don't have Cleafort Scout at 3 still. So the deck kind of can't really play still. But I guess having their boss monster back is fine. Disc Commander is getting eroded. There's no reason to have this card on the ban list, so that's fine. Burial from the Different Dimension. This is the card that matters slightly, and it might not even matter that much. I guess if zombies take over the world, then we can probably see this card play a little bit. But I think even then, I don't think it's worth playing at 3. I think it's just playable at 2. But I guess if people are just playing it at 2 and nothing else, then I guess it could just go to 3 logically. Ring of Destruction. This card does absolutely nothing, so we're not going to talk about cards that do absolutely nothing. Now, on to what I was thinking about Exciton Knight. Now, the reason why Trickstars skated on the ban list, this is the reason actually. Evil Storm Exciton Knight literally just kills that deck by itself. Just imagine, like, if your opponent is trying to double the curse you, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm going to activate my Dark Hole real quick. Is that cool? That's what this card does. Because your opponent will theoretically activate, like, theoretically will double Lycoris, and then either you chain to the Lycoris summon, or they chain their Lycorises to the Candina being destroyed. They're not going to do that. Most of the time, they're not going to do that. It prevents him from making a really strong play simply based on this card's pure existence, and you don't even have to do anything with this card. You can literally just sit on this card and just let your opponent do whatever they want, as long as they don't kill this card. Literally, this card is just like a self-destruct. It's just a destruct button, just waiting for you to push it. It's the red button. It's a nuke button, and that's my theory as to why Trickstars technically skated on the ban list, but they really didn't skate on the ban list. As I said, Scapegoat went to 2, and that's actually powerful, because if you knock the consistency of a card from 3 to 2, the deck becomes significantly worse. Not that much significant to where it's notable, but however, we do have Hornet drones now at 1. That technically was the most technically quote unquote unfair combo about that deck. Sure, they still have Droll and Reincarnation, but that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, because that really doesn't happen as often as people might think it is. While I agree people have legitimate grievances towards Droll and Lockbird, and I think that card should definitely be on this list somewhere, at least the one or even banned, I think it's totally fine that card exists right now. It might actually exist. It's totally fine that card kind of exists right now, because it doesn't run over Exciton Knight. All your opponent has to do is just make Exciton Knight, and literally you as a Trickstar player probably cannot play the game. Well, I mean, you could play the game, but I mean, your opponent's just gonna be like, okay, I'm just gonna let you do what you want to do, and then when I feel that you're going too far, I'm just gonna kill you. And like, just imagine if like Dark Hole was a quick play spell, and that quick play spell also summoned a 1900 attack token for you to do whatever you want with, and you could do it twice. That's what this card does, and that's what this card will always do. And I think outside of that, Exciton Knight is kind of fair, mainly because of the decks that it generates. Also, it doesn't really hurt any other decks realistically. Crusadia can still power through Exciton Knight explosions, but other than that, they really don't. Most decks really don't care about Exciton Knight, except for Trickstars, in my opinion. So anyway, guys, this has been Just Lines. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please leave a like. Also, tell me what you guys think about this ban list. I will see you guys in the next video. This has been Just Lines, signing out.